Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and we are back here with the German muscle. Okay, I won't punish you guys much longer, unless you want to be punished. But it's Sunday, and I am finally showing his Panzer IV replay. This is the Panzer IV early model with the short 75 Howitzer derp gun, and it is a joy to play, to experience, and to face in the battlefields of War Thunder with armor that is usually not intimidating. The side hull armor is rather thin, as well as the top deck armor, and the frontal armor is not thick enough to make up for that fact. You can angle a bit, but there's really not all that much you can do to improve your survivability against an experienced player, and yet it sits at a low enough battle rating and has a reliable enough gun that those issues aren't often a problem. One of the things that it receives in trade-off for its armor is mobility that is quite good for a medium tank of its battle rating, and you can hear the caveats rolling in there as well. You're going to face a lot of light American and Soviet vehicles, which are based on an American design, with the Christie tank that can easily outrun, outmaneuver, and even, under the right circumstances, outgun you as well. What am I saying? This is a balanced tank, and it sits at a battle rating where it faces a lot of vehicles that are balanced as well. Once again, are you getting the news? Low tier's where the fun at, my friends. Low tier is where the fun at. Moving on. Where are we? Sorry, I'm a little bit worn out today. It's Thursday. Wednesdays are huge for me. I usually teach a class, and then it's late by the time I get home, and I'm just totally brain drained. But I didn't have any kids to teach this Wednesday night, so I actually sat in for a church service, and I really enjoyed that. I still came home brain drained though, because I prepared a lesson and I made the mistake of getting into the Bible, and I just had my mind blown because I realized something about a certain passage that links into another passage in a way that I never saw before, and it's all just super nerdy stuff, but it was really exciting for me, and I got to share that with another guy who's really interested in the Bible. So I had a great time. Also, I saw somebody I haven't seen in a while, and she used to be this enormous woman, full of love, but she had an eating problem, and she was, I want to say, over 400 pounds. I'm not quite sure. And her name is Bree, and she showed up. She's been in California for a while, and she was on a show, and she is like smaller than me now, and that was really incredible. What's going to be also incredible here is ItzSundayy's performance. Here I am sharing about my Wednesday night experience, and ItzSundayyy is reminding me how much I love church as well. Anyway, hull break on the LVT, which is extremely useful. That large landing craft is nigh impervious to AP rounds unless they're offered up in high supply, but a heat round can hull break that thing and really help out a lot. Sinking that boat goes a long way toward giving his team the front line advantage. ItzSundayyy holding the line as enemies continue to pressure this choke point of the map, and you can see his team spread out fairly evenly along the line and holding their own ground fairly well. Relying now on the survivability of Panzer IV as he loses a crew member and a cannon breach, and the support of his teammates, it's time for ItzSundayyy to take a break, a sabbatical if you will. And recover his vehicle. Parts being so essential. Another thing that's lovely about low tier is that parts and FPE take maybe 1 or 2 battles to unlock, so along with the other essential equipment, the modules to research in War Thunder goes so much faster in low tier. Low tier is fun tier. There's definitely a huge opportunity to be had in the rest of the game, and you've got to set your sights high. It really helps you to enjoy your experience. And look at this teamwork on behalf of ItzSundayyy's team. The Stug on fire, but attempting to be tugged to safety by a teammate, but alas, this must be one of his first few battles because he didn't have FPE. F's in chat for the Stug 3. An allied medium tank, a Soviet tank, interestingly enough, taking fire from behind. ItzSundayyy focusing in another direction. Curious and curiouser. Is that a teammate that was shooting at the what is that, a T-26? Whatever the heck it is. There's a certain time where all the Soviet tanks start looking the same, and it's all the time. What's the deal with all these Soviet tanks being indistinguishable from each other? You know what, that just shows my own lack of knowledge. They do have these little features that set them apart. So far, it hasn't been an explosive match for ItzSundayyy, but I know things are going to heat up. In fact, he's going to get more kills with these heat rounds that he's loaded exclusively into his 75mm derp gun. And it is, at this battle rating, a derp gun. Not a lot of armor penetration if you're using the AP AG round, but the satisfaction of those one-shot kills is significant. And then when you get into the 75mm ordinary heat rounds, they are fantastic at this tier of gameplay, and their post-penetration effect has been improved bit by bit, update by update. Another thing that's improving is client stability, presumably, but we're getting a little bit of weird wiggle here at this point in War Thunder. This is somewhat older of a recording, and to the point that I'm not entirely sure I haven't shown you this replay before. So if I do repeat a replay, please let me know. That helps me. At least I won't repeat it a third time. Anyway, speaking of a repeat performance, we see once again the German team doing quite well here. That Panzer III looks like he took down the, what is that, Ho-Ni, I think, quickly before ItzSundayyy could make his move. That looks like the up-armored Panzer III, what is it, N? Oh, I can't remember, but it has the side skirts and that same stubby 75 that's so fun to use. The Panzer III itself with a little bit more effective of an armor profile. You can angle your armor a little bit more in Panzer III because it doesn't have those hull cutouts. Getting a nice shot into a Japanese tank and quickly having to reorient, see what I did there, because they're oriental tanks, to take on another Japanese tank destroyer with around 100mm of armor penetration, if I'm not mistaken. That TD can easily APAG ItzSundayyy if he's not careful. And our hero getting good support from the Panzer III once again, taking on a Sherman 105, a deadly foe, and surely grateful for the backup this time as ItzSundayyy finishes off the rest of the crew of the American tank. Now, our guy is in a defensive battle once again, and as I've mentioned in another video, the Germans excel at defensive battles. Look at how the hull of his tank is twitching because he's on a slight incline. That is a bug in War Thunder that is as old as time. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. The server stability is a beast. I'd love to see these long-lasting bugs in War Thunder go the way of the dodo, but I understand that they can be very difficult to root out and remedy appropriately. So I do have some patience, even if those things are extremely annoying and inconvenient. And I think that is the main reason why, or maybe linked to why, the hull aiming system in War Thunder is so borked, which makes me sad for the Wedge Panzer, the STRV 105, I think it's called, the Swedish doorstopper. In any event, it's Sunday, now in a much different era of armored combat. Once again at the tip of the spear, knowing that there's enemy resistance around the corner, but it's in the form of an AA, and he gets that sweet hull break, no problems. Now, even the American 50 cals at close range can punch through his, what is it, around 15 millimeters of side armor, so the early model Panzer IVs certainly have an uphill battle against many vehicles unless they can get the first shot. But with an extremely fast reload on that 75, you often get the first, second, third, and finishing blow, and so it's so useful to have that heat round loaded where you can punch through almost any armor that you would face from many angles. Certainly convenient. Now with 6 kills and a single assist in a defensive battle, ItzSundayyy has proved his worth here, and now he's popping smoke and falling back to get better support by his teammates. A good strategy for sure. I've seen a lot of people send in replays where they play very aggressively and get a great result, but it's nice to see someone playing in a style that's a little bit more familiar to my own, where you make sure that you're getting support from your teammates by being close enough to them to be able to hold the line, and at the same time you see our guy ItzSundayyy pushing up when he needs to, being the tip of the spear, but being, as it were, well supported by the shaft. Anyway, getting a beautiful shot on that Japanese tank through the smoke. He definitely has the opportunity to take pot shots, and this time he gets his 7th kill by being aggressive and taking advantage of the opportunities given to him. Overall, it's nice to see a bit more of a defensive style replay here on Toshio Thunder, as I mentioned, and the German team is a great one to try to give a shot to that defensive style gameplay with a fantastic gun that I've mentioned again and again, and yet not the best gun handling or mobility, not the greatest maneuverability or armor protection. The Panzer IV, in all of its forms really, is a fantastic tank to stop enemies in their tracks as they advance, and setting yourself up with good protection from things like Stug, which in the Stug 3 variant and in the long-nosed Stug or the Sturmhaubitze, those are all capable and useful defensive supports with their slightly more reliable armor and low profile to back up the German tanks. Indeed, the versatility of the German lineups at this tier between their ground vehicles and their aircraft really comes in handy for building a solid defensive line. Unfortunately, one more Japanese tank with its decent armor penetration was able to take him down from the side. Now, Viski in a much more advanced German tank that follows a very similar meta, this time heating up enemy tanks with a fin-stabilized variant that shoots that sweet copper stream into the crew compartment and critical modules of enemy tanks. The Heat FS that is so loved and feared in the game of War Thunder. I remember when Leo first came to the game, it was an incredible monster, unmistakably the greatest of all vehicles in the game, the meta of meta. And many vehicles have come to the game that can rival or surpass the Leo in many ways, but the Leopard is still a great example of a well-balanced medium tank that trades armor for firepower and maneuverability, and does so to great effect in the game of War Thunder. High reload rate, good level of accuracy, and a gun that can punch through and cause crippling damage to any vehicle that it faces, all wind up giving the Leo a great reward for its mobility and speed, making it a versatile and effective medium tank in the game. And who better to play that sneaky, cheeky, breaky game style and to play aggressively, getting into position and taking down everything that he sees, but Viski himself. Always a man who sends in interesting content to the channel, and someone that's always fascinating to watch. He's very good at awareness and spotting enemies before they can notice his position, and yet getting a shot in the booty of that whatever the heck it is Soviet medium tank. They all look the same to me. He was in a position there where he started feeling the heat a little bit, already responding and quickly ducking down into cover. It might have been too late for him if that enemy Soviet tank was able to get his gun on target in time, but instead he popped smoke, obscuring himself, and Viski now ready. The enemy tank still facing the wrong direction, or I should say at this point facing the wrong direction, and getting taken down by a quick, clean, efficient ammo rack explosion. When you black the rack and it actually blows, when War Thunder is just right. Anyway, now another customer, still oblivious. Viski's position, sneaky, cheeky on the backside of a rise, the last place the enemy team expects him to be, and yet such a great tactical view of the battlefield. You can see that he is as well the tip of the spear, as it were, but this one concealed in cover. Incredible that he hasn't been rooted out yet by a flanking foe or by close air support with the revenge kill that you so commonly see in War Thunder. And yet it's because of all these things, I suppose, that he's going to have a great match today. And with 5 kills already, talking about a tank ace, I remember when just seeing 5 kills in a battle was exciting, and you know what? It still is. 5 kills in one life is 5 kills in one life. But Viski, already up to 6, is ready to push that to the next level. This is to go even beyond Super German. And we'll see just how far he can go. The key takeaway from this replay is definitely that this position on the map is a power position. Look how exposed it is, though. If enemies want to flank, they can. There's many places that a foe can notice you, and yet so often it's just not where they're looking. And this is an example of an extremely aggressive position that just happens to be more or less static, staying in almost the same place for 6 kills, and yet such a position that the enemy should have noticed him. They just didn't look in the right place at the right time. Risky, reward, Viski. Typical. The man paying attention to what's going on, good tactical awareness, and yet even Heat FS with 300-400 millimeters of penetration can bounce off a BMT's upper plate. That extreme angle, an extremely effective defense against a lot of rounds, including Heat FS. Now hidden in the smoke, perhaps repositioned, and with several ways of making Viski's life difficult, the enemy, what would you call it, a troop transport? Definitely a threat. RU-251 closing in to try and take down the foe. The Soviet light tank still active in the area. Checking the map, it looks like Viski's allies have closed in. They must have taken him down by now. he must be dead right now. Right? I don't know. I wish I knew. My tactical awareness definitely not the best, and Viski now repositioning to another spot where he can hopefully dig himself in and root out the enemy at the same time. It's not often you see someone being so risky and sitting in roughly the same area, and yet lurking is definitely the way to victory at this tier in War Thunder. You see a lot more cautious gameplay, even among people who are extremely aggressive the way Viski is. And he really shows that he's willing to risk it for the biscuit, if you will, but at the same time, he's no fool, and taking down an M40, no, not an M42, right? The lower rank one. Anyway, they're practically the same vehicle, both subject to hold brake and no match for a large caliber heat FS. The Leo, does it have, what size is the gun on the Leo? Is it 90 mil or is it 105? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, it's got that good boom, 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 and it's definitely effective, scoring Viski 7 kills with few more shots than that. It's definitely showing good post-penetration damage and a reward for people that know where to aim and know where to be. And look at how exposed Viski is at this point. He's got to be thinking, I've got my 7 kills, and now if I die, I die, but I want to see the enemy and I want to take him down. He's hungry, he's thirsty, he's ready to take out anyone who tries to move in this half of the map. And checking the positions of the rest of his team, they're fairly well spread out. Now, an enemy spawned in. He's invulnerable. He has spawn protection for maybe the next 10 seconds. Only a few if he's going to start moving. Viski biding his time. The enemy tank not checking directly in front of him. Just up a little bit of elevation is enough for Viski to play the cat and take down that Soviet mouse with ease. The man just wasn't looking at what was going on. Viski, you can see, making use of some bushes, but certainly not all bushed up. And why not take down an airplane too? Point and click. The aggression of Viski here paying off. You miss every shot you don't take, and Viski taking the shot. Once again, sticking out like a sore thumb and waiting for enemy vehicles to expose themselves, this time with a heavy tank putting direct pressure on the enemy spawn, and Viski going for a second lightning strike on an American cast machine. Isn't able to accomplish it yet. A good time to switch to your anti-aircraft machine gun and spray at him, but of course that would give away your position as well. This time, Viski missing the opportunity to pick up a second air kill. Not that he didn't try, but with 9 kills and, what is that, a base cap? I think that's an assist. Viski, not the kind of guy that sits in the cap circle very much. Definitely after that glory. Definitely getting the kills. Noticing an RU-251 getting taken down. Is it a BMP? What is that? No, T-44 gets taken down by a shot through the upper frontal plate directly into the ammo rack. Viski going for the throat here. Looks like, nope, that's not an enemy tank, that's a pavilion. I needed to check that myself. And Viski, at this point, the match winded into a close with 10 kills and an assist, with a beautiful aircraft kill and enemy tank spawning in. It's a tortoise. What an interesting opponent. You don't see a lot of these in the game of War Thunder, but late in the game, when you're getting spawn camped, is a fantastic time to take out the tortoise. So, as soon as he can take his shot, Viski's going to try, hopefully, to take down the cannon of this beast, and that's exactly what he goes for, getting a shot underneath the breech. But is that enough to disable the gun of the enemy vehicle? I think it was. A second round, and yet the match wound down to a close. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. A couple of replays from the archive, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Feel free to send in your own replays, and there's a link to my Discord in the description. Definitely encourage you to come hang out with me there. Bye-bye.